right, so we've learned about input fields and tables and whatnot. So let's see how we can put it together to start playing around with some of the requirements from our assignment. The assignment had asked us to create a login page, a registration page, I think a user admin page where you can edit users. So let's start taking a look at how we might go about that. So let's see in a user admin page, right? So this might be another file. This might be, and we'll save it in user admin. It's a template. It's on the. This is a client page, content, or it runs on the client on the browser, and it's an HTML document. And here we're going to need a maybe an H1 that says that this is a user admin. And here we'll need a table, and that table will need a head. In the head we'll need maybe a row and some table headings where it might have here username, and then maybe a password, maybe a first name and last. Right, and maybe the last one might be some action, to delete, to edit, to select a user. So let's see. Let's navigate there. Our index page might be a good place where we can maybe link to pages that that we're creating, right? So this might be create an anchor. Oops, an anchor that refers to user admin dot what is it? User admin dot templates dot client dot HTML, and this is our user admin. Okay, and let's go back and refresh. This is our user admin, and we can navigate to our user admin. There it is. It's a table. It's an ugly table for now, but we're not styling it yet. Don't judge me here. Let's and so we can just maybe put a border around it of 1 pixel, just so like it proves indeed that this is a table. A couple other things that we might want to put in here is under the body, T body. We might have here a couple of data points here where we might have Alice, or maybe just Alice, and we might have many TDs. Let's just copy this. And this is password. We're not going to show you that. This is Alice, and the last name is Wonderland. And maybe a delete button somewhere here. Maybe a button that says button and that says delete. Save that. Right, would allow you to delete that one user. Plus, we might have a couple of, and you might have multiple users, right? So we might maybe even copy this this tr, and might have multiple users. And perhaps the second one would be called Bob. Hope. And maybe the first row might be a row that might allow us to maybe, oops, did I put it in the right place? Yeah. And the first one might be an input fields where we could perhaps have folks type brand new users. So this might be input text. If we refresh, there's an input field here. If you believe me, let's see. I have a type. The default is text, so I'm not going to change that. But we could maybe put a placeholder here, just to give an example of what is that we're asking for, right? So John Doe. Just give you an example of what is that we're expecting. When you start typing, the placeholder goes away. Obviously same thing for probably not for the password. Maybe I don't know if you can change the password. Maybe you could, I guess. For the password, we would say that the type is password. Right? Make sure again we're using strongly typed. That means that that um, right that if you start typing, right, it's not displayed. If somebody's overlooking your shoulder, they won't see what is it that you're typing. So make sure that if it's a password, you use the type password. Then you have here an input field where, oops, you have, oops, what the, where this might be just the text for the first name, another one for last name, and then the button you might have maybe create a new user, right? Where that if you type a new user, you can create it. Wait, did we not say create? Create. Why are you not? Oh, there it is. Create. Or there might be like an update button, right? There's an update button. And the other ones might have another button where you can select that particular user. Select. So there it is. So we have a UI that maybe an administrator could use that will allow you to select a particular user. It copies the content to the top form. I can edit that form and I can update the user, or I can create brand new users, right? And I could see the updates right away on the user interface. So I think that's one of your assignments that asks you to do something like that. I believe it asks you to do it using jQuery. I'm not quite sure. All right. So that was a little demo. The body content. All right, so let's take a look at let's start playing around with creating the other couple pages that were asked of you, like the login page, the registration page. We could do that too. So here we can create a couple of other files, and now the directory structure here. Eventually, notice that we only have 3 files here, right? And we're going to create a couple more, login, create. And if it's only a few files, it doesn't really matter that much how you organize your files here. But once you start, identifying, finding that, hey, you have the login, the registration, the profile, the admin, all these are user-related files. Yes, you have to start thinking about how am I going to organize that, right? So perhaps a good choice might be that everything that is user-related, right? I'm going to put it under the directory user, right? Anything that has to do with managing users. So for instance, a login, I'm going to put it in there. So I'm going to put here the new file. So this will be, oops, I'm going to save it. And under user, this will be login dot template dot client dot HTML. Again, all these naming conventions, your team that you'll be working in will come up with your own naming convention. If you don't have one, use mine. This is useful when you're working in large teams, especially to onboard new folks into the team. Immediately, when you look at a file, immediately tells you where you are in the application. It says, oh, what am I editing? Oh, it's a client. Oh, okay, so this is something that is running on the client. Right? It's not running on the server. It's not being interpreted over there. It's an HTML document, and it's it's under user, and the feature that we're working on is the login feature. Okay, so that immediately focuses your attention on what is that you should focus on, right? So here you might have H1 login, and in this login you might have username, and input field, and have a password, and then an input field. If the element, right, if the HTML element doesn't have a body, right, doesn't have there's no need for the input there's no need for the element to have an opening tag and a closing tag, right? So instead we use this notation where you have a slash at the end of the element. See that? Right, that's called a self-closing tag. Right, it is both an opening and a closing tag, right, without having an explicit open and an explicit closing. Okay, So again, so remember to use that nomenclature. Input fields certainly are a type of element that use that kind of nomenclature. Let's see what else we have here. We have a button and login. And let's add to our input field, let's add a link to our brand new login page. That is, why are you not moving? So this is the login page, and it's located under user / login template, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's see. If we go back, refresh, we should break this up. Maybe we could make this into an ordered list where all these are line items. All these are line items. So if we refresh, we have login. We can navigate to login. And in login, what do we have login? I think we have more than just login. Oh, there we go. All right, notice that it's ignoring our tabs, right? Our new lines, as we mentioned earlier. One lazy way of fixing this would be to put a breakpoint, a break, right? BR indeed as a break. See that? And for now, we'll take this lazy way of doing it. Breaks should be only used for when you're breaking up things that are logically broken contextually, like for instance, an address, right? Maybe you have the first street address, and then you have state and whatnot, and then down below country and things like that. But only when it's logical to break them, not for layout like I just did. All right. We'll introduce a couple more things as we progress on how to lay this out. Let's break this up a little more, like password, input, and buttons. So if we refresh, notice that it breaks it up indeed. And we had mentioned that it was a good practice to label everything so that it was referring to the correct element, right? So for instance, this input field, we're going to give it a unique identifier. We'll call it maybe a username. Okay. And so we can now refer to it here in our for, right? So that notice that on the password, when we click on it, it becomes focused. But if I click on the password, nothing happens. Yes. Same thing with username. But now because I added a label, I click on username, and it's not working. What? Okay, there we go. I had to refresh. If I click on the label, right, it takes on. So it's a best practice, especially on small screens when you don't have a mouse, right, and you're pecking at the screen. You make it as big as possible for folks to click on, right? Don't make their life harder than it already is. All right, let's see what else. So username, password. The password, obviously, the type should be password. Okay. Also, it's a best practice to, if you have one attribute, then it's fine. It could be in the same line. But if you have lots and lots of attributes, right, this is going to spill over, be very, very hard. I'm going to have to scroll all the way to the end of the screen. It'll make it hard on me, make it easy on me, so that if you have an ID and, if you have a placeholder, right, that says, John Doe, right, and you have a title. If you have lots of these attributes, make it easy on everyone else, right, in the team. Type your username. Okay, make it easier, and so put every attribute in its own line. Treat it as if it were a line of source code. Okay, so that if I refresh now, if I hover over it, notice that I get a tooltip, right, because of that title. Everybody good? The only other thing is that we might have a register page that might look identical to this. Can I duplicate this? There's no duplicate. Is there? No? I guess I can just copy and create a new directory file. So this would be, and save it into register.template.client.html. Paste it in here, and we'll call this register. Same thing, username, password, and maybe a validate password, maybe. Right, and then we can have these to navigate between each other. So from the login, under the button, I can put a hyperlink that says hyperlink that refers to my register page, register dot templates dot client dot html, that might be called sign up. That allows me to navigate to my register page, and that didn't work. What? Did I spell it wrong? href tempalte. Rename. Sorry, English is not my first language. Template. Go back, refresh, sign up. Yeah, goes to register, and you can navigate from either side. Again, we're going to abandon this this notion of navigating away from a page, right, to load another page, right? We're going to do it in the first couple assignments, and then abandon it when we get to React, Angular, and we'll start doing single page application in earnest. Okay. All right.
Hi everyone, Jose here. Please remember to subscribe and like the video. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Thank you.